that day as well, if you need me be.
Well,
But
if you
that'd be a
want to,
public meeting if
yeah.
if I attended. Right.
So if you don't want me to post it, I can only do 3. If you want to just do a public meeting, we'll just post it up on the.
I think that's fine.
Okay.
Just
But
the
you-
3 of us?
But you don't all have to be there, is what I'm saying. You don't have to be, but if you want to be, you're always welcome, and we can post it. So,
I would say you can add Ryan and I'll just show up.
It's your call, Chair. If you would like me there, I'd be happy to be there.
If your interest is there to see it for the first time, yeah, I'd welcome anybody that'd like to be there.
Then I would like to be there.
You would like to
Yes,
be there?
Please.
okay. So do you want me to just post up a public meeting
Yes, please.
on May 3rd, May 3rd at 3 o'clock?
Yep.
And Jamie, could you just make sure that our engineer Ed is invited as well?
Yes.
Thank you. He was feeling left out, he said so, and so.
Now he's like, He'll be
Thought
here
I heard something
anyway.
coming from down there.
There was mumblings
And what I'll
going on
do is
over
I'll
here.
just go ahead and post up a public meeting for May 3rd at 3 o'clock for the tentative budget.
Okay.
And then, okay,
Remind me, do we need to do a vote for that then, or?
yeah,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
can, it's not gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Whatever makes you feel
I-
comfortable.
I like to do it
You don't
just so that
really
we
need
got all the
to,
bases
but-
covered.
Yeah.
If you want to, that's okay.
So, well, I'll need a motion to accept that time frame for our budget meeting. That's our tentative budget meeting. So I'll welcome a motion at this time.
I'll make a motion to schedule a meeting on May 3rd at 3 o'clock for a budget meeting,
Okay, motion
public meeting.
by Ryan.
I'll second it.
Got a second
Kurt
by
seconded.
Kurt.
Okay,
And we'll,
you
This-
just do a voice vote on that?
yeah, we'll just do a roll call on that. Or not a roll call, roll call. Just play it safe, roll call. We'll start with Rob,
Aye.
Curtis,
Aye.
Kurt,
Aye.
Dale,
Aye.
Kirk,
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
And I will also vote aye. That motion carries. Moving on to item B. Probably ask for a motion to table that because we're not quite ready.
I'll make a motion that we table action item number B.
And we need to schedule,
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. We do need to make a schedule. We need to schedule a meeting. Do we want to explain this to the entire
Yeah.
board?
do you want to do it?
I'll let you do it since
Okay.
you're so versed in it right now.
All right, so we have on here the bid award for the collection agency that we talked about. We did get 5 bids that came in on that, and the deadline was last Thursday. So we were wanting to meet at 4:30, but we just felt as a team that we need a little bit more time to go through these proposals and score them. And so we wanted to table that tonight and then maybe do a Zoom meeting, maybe possibly Monday. Just literally will be like a 5-minute meeting, but it has to be a public meeting to do that bid award. So
Can we do that during the tentative budget?
we had to do it in April.
Oh, okay.
You know what? You could probably move that tentative budget meeting to next week if you wanted to. I'm sorry, I didn't know I was going to be posting for the for the tentative
Yeah.
budget. So
No, that's okay. I just thought if we killed 2 birds with
Yeah.
one stone, but
we could,
I mean, we would have enough.
if anybody
do
wants
that.
to just go ahead and we can post up a special meeting for both.
Does that work for anybody else? That
Next week doesn't work for me. I'll be out of town all this next
Okay.
week, so,
As will I.
Okay,
okay.
so let's just,
Keep them separate.
yeah, will
In case
everybody else be available next week to do like a Zoom meeting? To go ahead and award that bid,
Yep.
that proposal?
What time, or what day and what time, I guess?
That's up to you. I just have to do it in April. So I tried to get around that and they wouldn't let me, our legal advisor. So,
Well, to avoid the Monday night, how about the 26th?
okay, what day is that?
That's Tuesday.
Okay. You have a specific time that everybody could jump on if they need to be on Zoom or if they can swing by the office for 5 minutes, because it's literally
3 or
gonna
4
take-
works best for me,
Okay. It's literally gonna take 5 minutes.
yeah.
4 o'clock would work for me. That way I could buzz down here and just be in the office.
And I might do that too.
Yeah,
Anyone else available to do that? We just need a quorum is all, which is.
I'll
four.
be here.
yeah, and I'll try where I'm at. I'll try. to
Yeah,
get
if you have
on.
a Zoom, I can
Yeah.
try to log in.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and set up a meeting on the 26th at 4 o'clock. And I'll also go ahead and do a Zoom link. And then I'll send that out to you with an agenda.
The 26th, right?
Yep, 26th April, 4 o'clock PM.
Okay, I'd like to add to my motion to make a meeting for the 26th and at 4 o'clock.
Second?
Okay, had a motion and a second. We'll roll call this one also. We'll start with Ryan,
Aye.
Kirk,
Aye.
Dale,
Aye.
Kurt,
Aye.
Curtis,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
and I will also vote aye. So that motion carries. Moving on to item 5, Central Weaver Sewer Improvement District update. Mayor?
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for adding this in. For those that don't know, I attend this meeting at 5 o'clock, right before this meeting. So it's helpful sometimes to understand a few things that's going on within the sewer district. That's basically they do things a little bit differently, but it's pretty close to the same. So I thought I'd just share with you a few things that come up in those meetings that might be helpful. One thing that I asked today, how many of you have been to the Central Weaver Sewer District? You've been there before? I know you send stuff there, but have you been there in person before? If you haven't, that is something that we can do a tour. If the board wants to ever go down there and just see how it's ran through, it's pretty interesting. It does have a little odor to it, but it's pretty interesting to go through if you haven't done it. But have you been down there, John? I'm sure you have. And so if any interest, Chair, if you'd like to ask if these guys would like to go, we can set that up. You don't have to do it tonight, but that's something if you'd like to go. The other thing too is as far as the sewer district in general, they put out a lot of guiding principles on how they handle the sewer in general. And that comes up, they have like 8 items, and I sit on that board as well. It's a financial board on here, but they try and cap things when it comes down to how they do the taxes. If you've ever noticed, we get a lot of tax increases on so many different things. The sewer is one of them that we have. But what they've done is they've tried to limit the what they call a TIF participation down to 50%. This is kind of what follows the guidelines with the school board when they do things. They run that out, and by the time they end up doing projects, there's a 50% starting point that they can go with. Usually those projects come out to anywhere from 65 to 90%. It gets pretty high, but the board decided to set it at the 50% level so that let's say, for example, it was a long-term project. I'd probably be dead by the time it came around, but 25 years from now, if it was a $10 million project, then the board would get back 50% of that. So it depends on what you negotiate to try and get back some of the project funds that you put into it. They limit those out at times. They can limit it down to 12 years, and it can go up from there. They also have tax increments that it can hit that they limit it, anything that they can do on that. And those limits usually sit at about a 0.0006%. If the tax increase goes higher than that, it has to go to the board and it has to go to the state to get approval on that. So the way they have it set up for the district's service fees and annual rate increases. So anytime there's incremental financing that goes above that rate, again, they have to get approvals on those. And then the last thing on here is just that if there's any proposed projects that they do not perform without the use of the district's TIF or any evaluations that they do on projects, it has to be within a reasonable time period. So anytime they're getting any type of monies, like we just recently got ARPA money, for this, they have time limits that they have to get things done and completed on that. So that was one of the projects they went through. And this is kind of the agenda and notes. It's pretty intense meeting, but it goes pretty quickly. I think the other thing too that they were talking about is employees and taking care of their employees on their board. And we talked a little bit about what they were raising on the COLA and just a business side that they were looking at for their improvements and how they went about doing that side of it. And they gave the percentages of how they're working with their board to try and make sure they're retaining employees. I think the same thing with our group, that's what Matt's working on too, I think, to help us with that. And let's see, I think there was just a couple other things. Anybody have an idea how much money that they'll spend on capital projects this year? Any idea? Just throw a number out.
17 million.
17 million, that's a good number. Way low.
100 million.
That's close. 50 million. It's over $50 million in projects that they have planned for this year. So what they do is they typically go out for bonds, and when they do these bonds usually will set out there for quite a few years, but they're paying those bonds down. But we pay, as a district, Jamie, how much about do we pay quarterly for
For the treatment?
for
About
the treatment
260.
plant?
Yeah, it's like 300, around 300.
Yeah. So you figure all the cities that are combined with that in Weber County that participate in this, they end up sometimes coming up short. And so it's a management thing with what they're doing. The other thing on the treatment plans real quick is sometimes you'll kind of hear or people talk about the chlorine that they get back, or they smell a lot of chlorine and different things. So they're trying to do some of the treatments, and that's the same thing that they do with the sewer water. So sometimes you'll go in the bathroom, or some of the water and stuff that you have just sitting sometimes will smell like have a chlorine smell to it. But they use a lot of chlorine out there, and they're going to change that process. So they're going to move it back over, and I'm in the medical field, so they do a ultraviolet temperament on the water, and they'll be running that. The weird part about that is, just for gee whiz information, is that when they run that, the more particles that are floating through the water that don't get hit, they get shadowed. So they worry about sometimes how many times they have to treat that in order to make sure it hits a certain level. But they're moving to that because of the dangers of the chlorine, just like you would with a pool. I remember when I was younger, we had just a above ground pool, and we had the big chlorine bucket, and every time you'd open that up, it'd about knock you down. And that's why I probably got brain damage. But that's some of the dangers that they have with chlorine. So they'll be moving to that, and that's a couple of big $1 million projects that they'll be working on out there as well. But I just thought I would update you on what's kind of going on with that. But if you'd like to do a tour as a group, we're happy to go out and show you around. I've been on it a couple times. It's pretty cool, actually.
That is an impressive tour out there, and it's kind of neat to see how your water comes to you in the different treatments and how that
Makes you appreciate it a little more.
does. Yeah. Have they ever mentioned any concerns about the aquifers, about our supply of water in the future? I mean, I know I was reading on their website, it's like they have 10 deep water wells that can provide like 120 million gallons a day, and right now we're using like 98 million gallons in the area. So, I mean, I'm just trying to think of all that underground water, and you hear in a lot of areas where their aquifers are going down faster than they're being replenished. So anything on long-term supply, have they ever mentioned any?
For water?
Yeah, just
In
for water,
general?
so we'll have enough, because
Yeah, so a little bit different group, but overall, like Roy has two big aqua centers that they have in the ground, these aquifers, and they're struggling right now with the percentage that's in those. So it used to fill, the groundwater used to just fill a lot of those stuff up, and it's just not doing that right now. So it's going to be a tough year. I think you probably all got it in the mail today from Weber Water District on what they're going to be doing this year. And so this once a week watering that we're going to be doing on our lawns, we'll have to incorporate some of this into the city. And Ryan, our council member Schwab, has also been involved with this, but we're trying to figure out what we're going to do as a city with our public properties, right? Because if you start asking the public to reduce their water down to once a week, you know what's going to happen. Everything's going to turn brown probably, more than likely. So the question is, do we keep our parks green so people can go to the park and enjoy that? Or do we let them die off like everybody else's grass? So there's a lot of questions, and we got to come up with some answers to that. So, and I'm putting most of the blame and stuff on Councilmember Schwab, but
It's
he'll
definitely
figure
my
it out.
fault.
Yeah. But it should be interesting to see how it comes out. But I think as a sewer district, we sit in a really good spot. And I also think that as we're looking at our future Weber County commissioners and the things that we're doing, because we got 2 seats that are open, we need to really watch and see, when it comes time for voting, what we're going to do with that, because a lot of the monies and things that we'll be spending on that will be affecting how our future comes out with that district. One of the questions was also is that if we don't maintain our pipes, take good care of our pipes, some of the pipes that are in the sewer system or around Weber County are actually approaching somewhere around 100 years old. And if they don't refurb those, they're trying to control how much flow is going into the sewer district. So do they just keep expanding the plant with growth, or do they try and become more efficient? That's some of the other questioning too. So that's what I have.
You know, that facility up there too is real impressive because they have a lot of grounds where they show you how you can use drought-resistant plants and xeriscaping and things like that. And sometimes they'll have an open house for the public. I don't know, it might be kind of neat to have an open house for West Haven City residents to say, hey,
Yeah.
if we're gonna be reducing water, here's some, we're gonna have a time we'll all meet or here's some hours where they'll do a tour for us and show us what you might do to your yards to use less water or something. So, but whether everybody does that individually or if we schedule something but I think as a board, it would be good to go for sure.
Okay. Any other questions for me? I know it's a crappy situation, but it was pretty fun. It's a good thing. I think that the board's doing a good job. There were some options that West Haven was talking about just briefly to see if there were some other options that we could utilize as a city, and maybe looking at some joint ventures with other cities to participate. But there's some restrictions and things that we have to look at, and so I don't know if we'll be able to get involved with those, but we're always looking. See what we can do to be efficient. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that update. Moving on to number 6, staff report. What you got for us, John?
Well, I don't really have a whole bunch, so that's probably a good thing. Just working on the budget and trying to get some other projects done, but do you have any questions for me or anything that you want to ask? Other than that,
Are you hiring someone this year?
I'm putting in for a full-time position, yeah. The one guy that I have now is a half position split with the city, and we're gonna try to make that a full-time position. That will backfill that other position, so it'll help us out a little bit. We could use, with everything going on, there's areas we could use at least another person, if not 2, but for now, I'm just putting in for the one. Putting in for that is gonna change up the vehicle situation as well, because normally this year would be the year I would replace the truck because last year, or the last new truck we got is the one Nate drives. So this would be the year I'd replace mine. But if we do go through and get that full-time position, we want to keep that truck and purchase another truck and get it on the rotation so that individual has a vehicle as well. The new position, I take my truck home and I have Nate take his truck home. And that's just because we respond to every sewer call or SCADA alarm and everything we got going on. But the new position, I don't believe we'll have that truck go home. We'll probably keep it here, but it'll be a vehicle that he could use when he's at work, so. Anyway, that's kind of what we're looking at on that. Okay, that's all I got.
Ed, do you have anything for us?
No, Mr. Chairman, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Jamie, you got anything to add?
Anything?
Okay, that concludes the staff report. Moving on to 7, the consent agenda. We've got items A, B, C, and D there.
Make a motion to approve consent agenda items A, B, C, and D.
I'll second that.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second. We'll start with Rob this time.
Aye.
Curtis.
Aye.
Kurt.
Aye.
Dale.
Yes. Aye.
Kurt.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
And I will also vote aye on that, so that motion carries. Moving on to 8, adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Who made that motion?
Kirk. Oh, sorry, Kurt.
Sometimes you guys all sound the same.
We try.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, aye. We'll see you all
Yes.
very soon.